I'm sure we're going to have some people pop in, but it is now 11:16 by my clock on my computer here, and I want to respect your time. So I wanted to kind of say thank you for giving up your lunch time or near lunch time to come and learn a little bit about Wakelet with me. Shelly and I both, Shelly Lansford and I both are Wakelet ambassadors. So we do quite a bit of online learning with them. It's hard to kind of do face-to-face learning because they're in Manchester. I figure what I would do is I would start off with just a very short, almost an elevator pitch, if you will, for the product, and just kind of show you some of the things it can do from just from a sort of a promotion standpoint. And then we would just start at the very beginning, because if Sister Maria told us anything, that's a very good place to start. And I'll help you get logged in, and then I'll kind of walk you through some of the more salient features of Wakelet. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Oh, I've got preferences here that I've got to fix. Aha, there we go. Later. Okay. So now I should be able to share. Yeah. So I haven't shared since we started using Wakelet. I had to go in to my settings on my Mac and enable it. So we'll go ahead and click share. And what we'll do is we'll go back here and I will go ahead and work you through some of this. So this is kind of some promotional material from Wakelet. As it says, it's a free platform that allows you and your students to save, organize, present, and share content. I started using Wakelet in a coaching capacity because being that I taught English for 17 years, there were a lot of resources and things that I had gleaned over time that I thought would be helpful to some of the teachers I was coaching. And all those things were in my Google Drive. And I could have gone in, I started going in and sharing them, but then I forgot who I shared what with and things like that. And so then I tried making a Google Classroom, and that was kind of a pain to get people to join. Well, so what Wakelet allowed me to do was it allowed me to really quickly put something together online, a curated list of what I wanted to share, and share it. It allows you to kind of easily share those things, and then you have a visual representation then also of what you are of what you're sharing. So the part this is it's Wakelet explained in 3 steps. First thing is organize and curate. If you're ever presenting or you want to keep some things straight, curation is probably the I guess the gateway of Wakelet use. What you can do is you can create lists around certain topics. Like I said, I have a collection, a Wakelet collection that is just shared resources. Also, anytime I do a session like this or a staff development or a how-to, I'll put together a curated list of resources as opposed to having a whole bunch of copies of things. So I think curation, I think it's probably going to be your stepping off point. It's going to be the way that you're going to jump in and see Wakelet useful initially, although you're going to find more uses as it goes. We already kind of went over this a little bit, collaborating and sharing especially. It's a super quick way to share resources in a very nicely laid out sort of way. It makes you look like you've spent way more time on the creation of the content than you really have, and those are always kind of cool too. As you can see there, it works with all those tools and more. In fact, that's probably a pretty good segue to the next one. it works with all of your favorite apps. So there are direct ways to embed lots of different content. Um, you can embed websites, you can embed PDFs, you can embed stuff from your Google Drive. You can embed other Wakelets. They just came out with, over this quarantine actually, ways that students could share their Wakelet inside one of your Wakelet collections, which I thought, when I saw that, I thought, man, what a really cool option then for research projects. You know, we're all, especially with the new TEKS, secondary English TEKS, we're always looking for ways to spiral in research. And the product doesn't have to always be a paper, right? So Wakelet offers kids a really cool way to put together a product of their research, and now they can share it directly in a teacher's Wakelet. So I can create a Wakelet collection just for shared resources from students, and the students could then drop their Wakelets in there. There are ways to embed directly Flipgrid videos in there. It works with Teams. We'll get into all that as we go. Key features, like I said, collaboration. I can create content and have other people also create content. So one of the things that elementary teachers, elementary specialists would probably know this more than I do. So there's a big push. There was a big push this year to get podcasters on campuses to do live announcements. And I have the one middle school principal that used to be an elementary principal that wanted the setup too. So me and the tech put together, we collaborated on a Wakelet collection of resources for that school on the Padcaster, and then we just shared that Wakelet with the teachers. Also too, if I'm on there and I'm following somebody and I like their stuff and they've allowed it, I can copy their collection onto mine. Every collection has an embed code. I can drop that right into something like Canvas, and it'll be right there inside the page, which is really nice. And then the big one is kind of down here in the bottom left. It's the immersive reader. That's the hot new topic, the hot new tool. It's a Microsoft product, but it's showing up in Microsoft partner tools, which Wakelet is a Microsoft partner tool. It's not a Microsoft owned tool, but they work very closely with Microsoft. Canvas is also another one where immersive reader is embedded, and I want to demo that in just a little bit as well. So how can teachers use Wakelet? Oops, sorry about that. Teachers could do it as a classroom newsletter for parents. You could document your PD. One of the things that we did at our TCA conference was I created a Wakelet collection for every session I went to, and there are ways that you can embed tweets in the Wakelet presentation. So what I did was I dropped the hashtag from that particular session in my Wakelet, and then later I noticed that everyone that had used that hashtag, my Wakelet collected it. So not only can you drop, the shared presentation and your notes in there too, but you can collect all of the stuff that's happening on social media with that as well. And then student uses for Wakelet, man, I think this is going to be really powerful, and they are actually constantly adding more ways to do this. I think the top three are the ones that I could probably talk on the most. We talked about assignment submission. If they create a Wakelet, they can drop it directly into your Wakelet. And I have a demo, a research project that a student did that I'll show you what that might look like. If a student was researching a certain topic and then they created a Wakelet as opposed to a paper, what that might look like. And then because of the sort of, I guess, the nature of creating things and then having them continually stay there to build upon, it really does lend itself to portfolios as well. This is a cool, and I am not super up on librarian use, but I think that this has got some really cool ideas there. The resource hubs are kind of what I was talking about. It's stuff that I created for my teachers to use, but then also that shared collection that Ben and I made for one of our schools the um, for the Padcaster is also something like that too. Oh my goodness.
Oh my
Hurt
goodness.
myself. There I go.
There I go.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually going to go down here too. There's a really great community that that Wakelet has, and it's if you just go to community.wakelet.com, it's like a message board, and you can join that. And then also all of there are mobile apps. Every major platform has a mobile app. I use it a lot on my app on my iPhone. Um, and they're doing a lot of improvements right now with that. They're kind of collecting from us as the ambassadors. I filled out a form this week on my favorite features, what I wish it had, so on and so forth. So I'm expecting a big update coming down the pipe as well. There's a browser extension that you can also clip things directly. Like if you see an article, you could just clip it directly to your Wakelet, to a Wakelet collection. And so this is kind of where we're going to get started here. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to walk you through getting signed up. And then I'm going to demo some of the more salient features. And then we'll get you going. And hopefully, I'm going to offer you the opportunity to follow me, and then you can have access to all of the stuff that I create as well. So we're just going to go ahead and close that. And if you guys will go to wakelet.com for me. What you're going to see is something that kind of looks like this. You're just going to click the sign up button. And of course, it signed me in automatically. Let me go ahead and just log out real quick. Sign up. It's going to give you the option to sign in with your Google or your Microsoft. I would encourage you to link it to your professional Google. So I would go ahead and use the continue with Google. And I'm going to stop here because I've run out of accounts to create here. But I'm going to create. I used owen.nesbitt@birdvilleschools.net. Kind of walks you through that process, and then it will get you back eventually to a Wakelet homepage. And this is kind of, I'm going to give you guys a minute. Do you have any questions while you're doing that? I want to give you just a little bit of time to a minute or two to kind of let you sign up. Any questions?
Hey, Owen, when we sign on, do we go ahead and say get started?
Yes, go ahead and click get started. That's a great question, Karen. Thank you. The nice thing is next time you can just click that login and then click your Birdville Google, and then it'll just take you right in. So you guys know as well as I do that the setup is often the most frustrating part of these things. So when you get logged in, I mean, you're not going to have as many collections as I do. I've been doing this for a while, for a couple of years now. But one of the things I like with this new generation of products is it's very sort of logical in terms of how you get started. If I wanted to create a new collection, I click the big green plus that says create a new collection. I really like that. It's logical. It just makes sense. But then, so all of your collections are going to be housed in your main sort of home page here. And what you're going to notice as I'm scrolling around is that some of them have different icons next to them, right? The default is that it's not shared. And I can tell you the reason behind that because I asked. The idea is that when you create a collection, you're not maybe ready to share it immediately. You might need to do some additional vetting, some version 2.0ing, some adding more material. So they lock it down initially just to ensure that you are ready to share it when you know that you are ready when you share it. And some of the stuff you may just want to go ahead and keep locked down. So when I have shared things publicly, anybody can see. There's the globe, right? And then this one is just for me. So this is I've only shared with certain people. And it's so that it kind of has your sharing settings very similar to Google. One of the things I wanted to show you real quick too is you don't have to start by making collections either. If you want to kind of browse, there's two search areas right here, okay? You can search collections or you can just use the search bar, okay? And then let's just say you want to search, you know, just a topic, global warming. Try this one up here, search term, global warming. There we go. Yeah, that's what it is. They changed it. Okay. So what I did was, instead of using, this one is now a search for within your collections. This is the more general overall search. So you're going to want to do that. And I can search for collections or I can search for people. So these are just some results that I've gotten here on global warming. Let's just look at some of these. Let's go into this one, and this is so this is really cool. David Kalanji has done this one. There's lots of text here. He has embedded looks like a video or a map over time that changes. Some resources from National Geographic, and then he's used text to kind of go into different sections of his project here. There's YouTube videos, and then how we can help. If you see these icons, these are all things that can be read in Immersive Reader. Let me just show you that real quick. Okay, if I click on that, it changes the page. Okay, this is a really great tool for could be kids with side issues, but also it could be kids who are learning the language or are maybe lower readers, lower skilled readers, as then you know maybe lower the grade level, so on and so forth. I can actually have this text read.
How global warming affects humans and the ecosystem.
And what I can also do is, what I like about this is it's taken all of the background noise out of it. There's no pictures to distract. It's also a sans serif font, which is it's stark. It's more of a stark contrast on the background there. So it's very easy to see the words. And also it reads it, but then I can also change, if I go up here to the text preferences, I can make the text bigger, if that helps. I can even, it's already on increased spacing, but I can change the font as well. I want to change it to Comic Sans. I learned this from Shelley just last week. As an English teacher, I am a notorious font snob. And so I have spent the better part of my career just trashing Comic Sans, right? Because, you know, my junior AP kids, I don't want them turning in papers with Comic Sans. But I did learn from Shelley that there are really great uses for Comic Sans, one of which is to help a struggling reader or a struggling writer. And that's because the fonts look like handwriting. They could more easily recognize a G, let's say in Comic Sans, than they might in another font. And I thought that's really cool. So I have amended my font snob ways, at least in this regard. You know, I think there's a time and place for everything. So one of the things I really think is cool too is I can change the colors as well. I've always been a really big fan of this. I feel like the yellow background with the black font, it's less intense on the eyes. I even kind of like this. I kind of like the white font on the black background. I think that's a little easier on the eyes as well, but there's several options. I can actually break, if I click on this little grammar options, I can break these words into syllables, which I think is kind of neat. So it shows that global is actually, it's got 2 beats, warming, it has 2 beats. You can show where those syllables are split out. I can even show parts of speech here. And of course, you have to realize that that's not going to be 100%, right? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I would say that's probably at least 90% accurate. So, but don't sort of assume that it's 100%, because no tech tool really ever is. I mean, it's not human, so it doesn't necessarily make the distinctions that we do in grammar and things like that. So, but I think that's really cool. So, and then finally, reading preferences. I can focus on a single line at a time. I can also change the language. If I wanted to switch it to Spanish from Mexico, I could. And then when it reads,
how global warming
Oh.
affects humans and the ecosystem.
That didn't work, did it? Document. There we go.
¿Cómo afecta el calentamiento global a los seres humanos y al ecosistema?
So, and that's pretty good. Once again, it's not going to be 100%. It's probably on the level of a Google Translate. But if you've watched 90 Day Fiance, you realize that Google Translate is a pretty good model for communicating between people that can't normally communicate. So that's just a real short sort of dalliance, if you will, into Immersive Reader. But like I said, Wakelet's got that automatically. Let's go ahead. Also, I wanted to show you this too. We looked at how to search for collections. You can also search for people up there too. Let's say I wanted to search. I know Shelley is a great person who puts together collections. And I know that her handle is EdTech Shelley. I can search for her and then click people. And there she is, right? So I can click on her profile and I can follow her. That way, when she puts together a new collection or updates a collection, then I can see it. If you wanted to follow me, that's my handle. It's @the_Nez. It's just like my Twitter handle. So, but that actually gets you, let me just show you this. It gets you all of it gets you seeing all of my Wakelet collections. And on there, what I do have for you today at the very bottom is Wakelet resources to share for you. And in there, what I have is an ebook from Wakelet, the Wakelet Educator's Guide. I have a link to the Wakelet community. And like I said before, it's community.wakelet.com. It's free to sign up. It's a great way to connect with people. I have some tweets that I've pulled, and it's got really quick, easy ways to embed your Wakelet collection to a website. It's got some other things on there as well. So instead of having a handout for you today, I thought I would put together a Wakelet collection for you today. In terms of, so you've got topics you can model, but they've just created this too as well. So if you guys are just learning this, you're going to want to check out the Wakelet Search School. And this is really a whole bunch of collections by educators all over the world on how they use Wakelet or how they encourage you to use Wakelet. So these are really cool things to kind of dig into as well. Let's actually get into, because it's 11:42, let's get into making collection. So we'll go ahead and click on create a new collection. And if you've ever used Microsoft Sway, this always reminds me of Microsoft Sway right off the bat. You enter a title for your collection. I'm just going to say Innovative Learning Bites Sample. That way I'll know I can go back and maybe truncate it or whatever later. I could write a description there. I'm just going to write some Swedish in there for now, just to show you. You can write quite the long description. So yeah, probably more than you really ever want. And then I can also add a cover image. Now, there's two options. If you have something in mind on your computer, you can upload it, but there's also a really extensive library that they have that you can pick. And I'm just going to pick this, this house. It's seaside on this mountain here. And that is now my header. So, but notice too, I can change that. I can go back and change. And remember what I said earlier, the default is to make it private initially. So to add content, once again, I'm looking for the plus, right? So when I click the plus, I'm presented with all of these options. These are things out of the box I can add into my Wakelet collection that I've made here too. Now, what's cool about paste URL, right? I mean, that means you can kind of post the articles or whatever. But that's one way you can add in really cool features from other EdTech tools. So if they have created it, let's say you wanted to drop the results from a recent, I don't know, a recent Quizlet, you could drop those results with the link right there with the URL. I can add text. And of course, like I showed you just now, anything that you enter in this text box is going to be enabled in Immersive Reader. So that might be something you want to keep in mind too. If your clientele is one of a low reading level or whatever other deficiencies that might prevent them from reading like an abled kid, then you might want to do more of that here. But then also, I can embed YouTube videos, I can embed tweets, and like I said, you can enter a hashtag there, and then it continues to add tweets as those are tweeted with that hashtag, which is kind of cool. But I can also, if let's say I'm at TCEA again from my earlier example, and my facilitator for this session also has a really great tweeter. Has a great Twitter. I can add them as well onto this, and I can see their tweets as well. Other things we can look at. I can import bookmarks, images. I can upload PDF. That's a relatively new thing. You may want to juxtapose that with your Google Drive because probably, I mean, if you're like me, a lot of your PDFs are shared in your Google Drive. So you can actually do either one. And there are nuances of sort of just preferences on how those show up. Some are a little bigger, some are a little smaller. You just may want to play with how that shows up in your collection. But Google Drive, of course, is more than just PDFs, so you can post anything that's in your Google Drive. So docs, sheets, presentations, so on and so forth. They've added OneDrive, the same sort of thing. So if you're a Microsoft person, you want to add in some Word documents, PowerPoints, so on and so forth. And then this is where you can drop in that Flipgrid video, which is pretty cool. And I don't think, yeah, of course, allow that. I don't think I have, oh, look at that. It used to actually have you, and it may for you guys too. I had to log in with my Flipgrid account for that to happen, but I guess it's saved. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that. What questions do you guys have at this point? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for just a minute.
I had a question. I put it in the comments, but I guess hold on, I need to get one of my earbuds out. I can't talk with two earbuds in. Can you compare and contrast Google Sites and Wakelet? When would I use one over the other?
I think when you have the site up, it's probably just as easy to use. I think an advantage of Wakelet is that I can share something with it with 2 clicks, basically. If I don't have that Google site set up, I'm gonna have to set the site up and then share it, right? It's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. If you've got the site already set up, it's probably Fords and Chevys then at that point, you know. We're sort of, but this is probably more designed for the person that doesn't have those things set up. It's a vehicle to share.
Kind of what I was thinking. Like when I'm doing a coaching cycle with the teacher, if you know, we decide, or the teacher decides they want to work on formative assessment or questioning or whatever, and if I already have a Wakelet of some questioning strategies and stems and different things, then I could share that with the teacher, is what I'm thinking. I've not started I was thinking of a database, kind of a vision, and it's just a go-to kind of thing all the time, that I don't have to recreate. I don't have to go look for links. And so I've not created it yet. So I'm glad I hadn't. I was going to do a Google site, but as you were going through this, I thought, this might be something that I go to instead of a Google site.
I have actually used Wakelet a lot with your English team. They have been super receptive to a lot of the resources that I've shared, and a lot of them follow me. And so now when I share a resource, bam, they've got it immediately, because A, I've just dropped it into Wakelet, but B, they're following me as well. So I feel like it's just a little bit more expedited process of sharing. That's a great question, though.
I have another question too that I put in there. I saw that it could be used for student portfolios. And so at the same aspect, I was going to ask, how hard would it be to set it up where you're using it as an online data folder thing for the students?
I don't think it would be that hard at all. One of the things I like is the different things that you can put into a collection. And I have friends that are in business, and they always talk about 360-degree evaluations. So they get evaluations from supervisors, they get them from customers, they get them from, so they get a more complete evaluation. And I think in terms of making this as a data folder, having all those options for collecting resources can only give you a more 360-degree vision of the kid, right? Not only could it be written work, but they could drop a Flipgrid video in there too, and you could get listening and speaking as well. So there's lots of great resources.
Okay.
Well, and Karen, one thing I'm piggybacking on that is thinking, what if the student had a Wakelet, and then in there they had math, science, social studies, ELAR, and that was a place where they kept all their data. That would be kind of awesome.
That'd be really cool. And then the kid could share like the ELAR with the ELAR teacher, and the math with the math teacher, so on and so forth. So yeah, that would be a really cool way to do that.
Well, even another level, what if that math teacher knew the Lexile level of the student, and how great would that be?
Oh, this is
And
next
the
level
social
awesome
studies
now.
teacher knew the Lexile level. How awesome would that be?
That'd be way cool, for sure. No, I like this. I like where this is going. You guys.
Especially I teach science, since you can't teach science without math. So it would be, one of those things where I could see, how they were doing in math. And that helps me and with the Lexile level, how are they doing with that? That helps me as a teacher.
For sure. Absolutely. I'd never thought about that. You guys just turned it up to 11 on me, which I think is awesome. So what other questions, man? Yeah, exactly. High five. Digital high five. Man, Tony's been really answering a lot of great questions while I've been kind of blathering on. I appreciate that, Tony.
Okay,
Yeah.
here's a question. So how do I know, if I want to share with a teacher, how do they know I've shared it with them? Do they get an email that notifies them? Like if I create one and I think, oh my gosh, like I really want to share this with this teacher. Of course, I'm going to talk to the teacher about it, but do they get notified, like in Google, when we share, we get an email or something?
That's a great question. I've never gotten notified. It's just been there. So like if I share a resource with Shelly, it's just there. Or if she shared with something with me, now that could be a feature. I mean, that's a really good feature idea that we ought to suggest. So I may do that on your behalf there. That's a really good idea. It's just notification for share. Just because it's become part of our workflow. That helps us realize things. That's a great idea.
So all the teachers would need to download the Wakelet.
Well, I mean, they don't. It is web-based. They could get to it totally online. They don't have to actually download anything.
But they would need to have an account, right? They would need to log into the account.
Right. Yeah. So if they have their phone, it's optimized. The app is optimized for a phone or an iPad or whatever. But when I'm on my computer, like right now I'm on my Mac, I'm just using the web-based, right in Chrome. So and you're not losing any features between the two either. It's just optimized in terms of layout.
So we would need to, if we were going to, as a campus, decide that we're going to create these digital data folders, we would need to, she's laughing at me. We would need to have the students all create an account as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Karen and I are on the same campus.
That's pretty awesome.
It is.
Yeah, Rosa had a really cool comment. She said, does the person receiving info from Wakelet have to have a Wakelet? The information, if you're sharing it with somebody, it's web-based. It shows up as a website if they don't have a Wakelet account. So people do not have to have a Wakelet account to see the information that you share. They may have to have a corresponding account to what you share. For instance, if you drop a Google Doc on there, you may, unless you have shared with anyone with the link, if you have shared with anyone in Birdville, they're gonna have to log into that. But yeah, just see a Wakelet, yeah, you don't have to have an account for sure. That's a great question. Anybody else? It's about noon, guys. We have kind of filled up another 45-minute block. I appreciate you guys coming to share your time and coming to learn from me. And if you have any questions, do not be bashful. Seek me out, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. We'll find a solution for you.
We
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
We appreciate it. This sounds very exciting with something that we could use.
It's really cool. I'm not someone who totally like promotes a lot of tools. I'm kind of the so what kind of guy. Like I've got to see results before I promote it. And this one I'm full in. I'm all in, ride or die Wakelet. I think it's a great tool.
I've made a couple of Google sites and stuff like this, and this actually appears to be easier in my opinion.
I think it might be because the structure is already there. All you have to do is click and share things. You don't have to create the site in the background. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this innovative learning bite. Remember, if you want to connect with us, you can reach out over social media, Facebook and Twitter, or if you're a Birdville employee, please remember to join the Innovative Learning Bites Kitchen on Canvas. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.